Hey everybody, Jim Wanna here, and this is the recap of the Tacklewarehouse Pro Circuit on Lake Eufaula. The recap of day one. Sometimes when you have a good day of fishing, it seems like everything goes right. It's almost like a magic day. Every decision you make, every time you move your boat, every lure selection, everything just seems to work great. You don't have backlashes. You're not untangling things. You're not catching the wrong species. You're not snagging and breaking off. You're not having run-ins with other anglers, other boaters. Just, it's like everything's so fluid. Today, for me, was not one of those days. I can't completely say it was the extreme opposite, because the extreme opposite would be like a total breakdown, a boat failure, a motor failure. So it wasn't to that extent, but it was a kind of day where you're just not in the flow. As soon as you start getting in a little bit of a flow, something happens. And today it was catfish biting my baits and burning up time. It was a dogfish, what they call mudfish here. That thing, I got a lure that I finally got a fish on, and this dogfish hits it's a spinnerbait, hits my spinnerbait. I net him just to get him in the boat so I can get my spinnerbait back. So I net him. He starts thrashing like crazy on the back deck of the boat. And what does he do? He breaks the hook. He broke the hook. So that spinnerbait was now junk. And because a spinnerbait really wasn't part of my primary plan, I didn't have that particular spinnerbait. I didn't have another one. So I had to sit down, take 10 minutes, and rebuild one that would be similar. And it actually worked, because I did start catching some fish on that, but I only caught one keeper, though. That was the problem. And I jumped one off. That's the other thing. I hooked 9 keepers today and only weighed 3. Well, no, I shouldn't say I hooked. I hooked 7 of them, but 2 others hit a buzzbait. So, in fact, the 2 first bites of the day were buzzbait bites, and the one slammed it, never got a hook in it. The other one fouled it up to the boat and then took a half-hearted little run at it right near the boat. And I'm not even sure if that was a bass. It might have been, but it also could have been one of these other fish. So that's when I decided, okay, the buzzbait thing, there's fish here, there's a little activity. Let's put the buzzbait down, because usually, a lot of times you can go from the buzzbait to the spinnerbait and get better hookups off the spinnerbait. So that's what I did, and I caught a short one, and then I had the dogfish problem, rebuild the spinnerbait, and then I finally caught a keeper. Then I caught some more short ones, jumped that one off. It just was not, and then just the whole flow of things was just that flow, that flow of everything going so nice was just absent, because all these little calamities were happening. So anyhow, I ended up I think I'm in 131st place out of how many? 160? And which is not, obviously, it's way off my mark, way off where you want to be. But I knew it was gonna be a tough. I mean, there's no givens out here. This lake. After my practice, I didn't really feel comfortable. Even though I had one day I had over 20 pounds in practice, but I really didn't feel comfortable with that, because I knew it was kind of fluky. And I tried to make that work today, and it just wasn't happening. So anyhow, what else do I got to say about this one? What do I do tomorrow? I weighed 3 fish for 413. It ain't much. I really, to even make a check, I probably need like 16 to 17 pounds. So what I'm going to do, I'm actually going to go to the same place where I started today because there was some activity there. It's just that it was the wrong, and I had other fish. I had another fish hit my spinner bait that seemed like a good one, and he didn't get hooked, and he made a big splash. It's like, Jesus, just nothing. I just couldn't get it going. And then, of course, later, so later when the sun got up, I started jig fishing, and the other two fish I weighed were on the jig, but I ended up, I threw my jig up into this little shady shoreline pocket, and the fish grabbed it right away. I set the hook. I saw him, and he came off like after 2 seconds. That was a keeper. It wasn't a huge one, but it was probably like a 2-pounder. And then I just picked. I saw this cool looking contour on the map, so I thought, as long as I'm in this area, let's fish this with a football head. And sure enough, I hook one. And that thing jumps off. So it was just one of those days where I couldn't keep them hooked. And they weren't, I don't know. It's just one of them days. So what do I do tomorrow? Tomorrow, I got to catch the big ones tomorrow. Anyways, so I'm just going to wake up tomorrow. I'm going to start in that one area. And then after that, it's going to be just gut feeling and roll with it. So anyhow, that's it for today, and we'll let you know how it goes tomorrow. Over and out. Good night.